The story opens in an open field where a man is hiding in plain sight. He is wrapped in burlap, propped up on a wooden frame, and packed with straw so he looks like a scarecrow. He does not move at all. He is hoping the men hunting him will walk right past. It does not work. A group of men comes through the field with hunting dogs, and the dogs go straight for the frame, barking and snapping at the base of it. The older man leading the group notices how strange that is. He walks closer, looks up, and sees a terrified human face staring back at him through the sackcloth. He does not say anything about it. He just smiles to himself, steps back, and signals his men to open fire. The shots tear through the burlap, through the straw, and through the body hidden inside. The man in the scarecrow dies right there on the frame. Then to cover up what they just did, the older man walks over, picks up a pitchfork, and presses it into the dead man's hands. If anyone asks, the story will be simple. The scarecrow came at them first, and they had no choice but to defend themselves. But the innocent man they murdered would not remain silent forever. This is Dark Night of the Scarecrow. The man inside that scarecrow was named Bobby. He was mentally disabled, and even though he was well past 30, he understood the world about as well as a 5-year-old. He had no friends his own age, so he spent almost every day with a little girl named Melinda, and the two of them were inseparable. One afternoon, the two of them are out picking wildflowers, taking their time, with no idea that someone is watching them from a distance. That someone is Otis, the town mailman. Otis has a fixation on Melinda, and it bothers him that she would rather spend her time with Bobby. That resentment has been sitting inside him for a long time, and on this particular day, he decides he has finally found his opening. On the walk home, Bobby and Melinda pass a house with a fountain out front and little ceramic figurines scattered across the yard. Melinda notices that one of the fence boards comes away easily, and curiosity gets the better of her. She wants a closer look and tries to get Bobby to come with her. Bobby's mind may work slowly, but he understands right and wrong perfectly well, and he knows that walking onto someone else's property without permission is wrong. He refuses. Melinda goes in anyway. She barely makes it a few steps before a black dog comes charging around the corner. She panics and runs, and the dog runs after her. Bobby sees what is happening and breaks straight through the fence to get to her, but he is already too late. By the time he pulls her free, she is covered in bites and she has lost consciousness. Melinda's mother arrives to find her daughter bleeding on the ground and Bobby standing over her, and she assumes the worst. She believes Bobby attacked her child. Word spreads fast and it reaches Otis, who has been waiting a long time for exactly this. He is thrilled. Believing the girl is dead, he rounds up a handful of local men and goes after Bobby himself, without waiting for the police and without any legal authority to do it. Bobby runs home as fast as he can. When he sees men coming up the road with hunting dogs, he panics and tells his mother everything. She knows her son. She knows how gentle he is, and she never believes for a second that he could hurt Melinda. So she tells him to go and hide, the same way he always does when they play hide and seek together. Otis and his men reach the house a few minutes later. Bobby's mother meets them at the door and stands her ground. She tells them her son is disabled, not a criminal, and that there is no world in which he would ever harm his own best friend. She tells them he is not home, and she shuts the door in their faces. Otis does not buy any of it. He is about to force his way inside when the dogs suddenly turn and start barking at the field beside the house. The men follow them out into the rows, and there he is, standing perfectly still inside a scarecrow. Nobody gives him a chance to explain. They just open fire until he is dead. Seconds after the last shot, the radio crackles. The order to bring Bobby in has been called off. The whole thing was a misunderstanding from the beginning. Melinda is alive. She woke up and told everyone that Bobby never touched her, that he was the one who pulled the dog off her and saved her life. The men in that field go pale, but Otis stays calm. He walks over, picks up a pitchfork, and places it in Bobby's lifeless hands so it looks like Bobby came at them first. Self-defense. That is the story, and that is how they are going to walk away from this. Right about then, a hard gust of wind sweeps across the field, and the scarecrow sways on its frame. Not long after, Bobby's mother files murder charges against Otis and his men. In the courtroom, both sides argue through their lawyers, and the pitchfork Otis planted becomes the centerpiece of the defense. The men swear that Bobby tried to attack them and that shooting him was their only choice. Bobby's mother has nothing solid to prove otherwise. The verdict is never really in doubt. The judge clears Otis and every man with him. It breaks her. Hidden. She knows her son was murdered on purpose, and she has no way to prove it. What makes it worse is how the town sees the two sides. Bobby was just the disabled man. Otis and his friends are respected members of the community. Instead of standing with a grieving mother, plenty of people treat the acquittal like good news. That night, the men throw themselves a party at a local bar without a trace of guilt. None of them understands that the bill for that night is already coming due. At that same hour, Melinda wakes up because she thinks she hears Bobby calling her name. She runs straight to his house, where his mother gently tells her that Bobby's gone. Melinda refuses to accept it. She insists he is still alive and pulls his mother toward the field where he was shot, saying Bobby is only playing hide-and-seek with her again. His mother goes along with it even though her heart is in pieces, because she knows the truth. Her son really is gone. Life in town goes back to normal. The men who killed him carry on with their days and show no sign of regret. Then one morning, the wife of one of them, a man named Hawker, spots a scarecrow standing out in their field. Hawker goes out to look at it and feels his stomach drop, because it is almost identical to the one Bobby was hiding inside on the day he died. At first, Hawker figures one of his friends put it there as a joke, but when he asks around, every one of them denies it, and he believes them. They are all tied to the same crime. None of them has any reason to be scaring the others. The three surviving men go to Otis and tell him the scarecrow is back. They are worried that somebody out there knows the truth, because scarecrows do not move across a county on their own. Otis stays cool about it. He tells them nobody knows anything, and that if anyone is behind it, it is Bobby's mother trying to rattle them into making a mistake. He sends them home, tells them to keep living normal lives, and warns them not to contact him again unless it is a real emergency, since being seen together will only draw attention. That night, Hawker comes home drunk. Walking past his field, he notices the mystery scarecrow is gone. Only the bare wooden frame is left standing. He kicks it over without thinking twice. Then on his way inside, he hears something running in the barn. A grinding machine has switched itself on, and there is nobody near it. Confused, he shuts it off. A moment later, straw starts drifting down from the loft above him. Thinking somebody is hiding up there, he grabs an iron bar and climbs the ladder toward an old wooden crate. Just as he reaches for it, the machine below him roars back to life. The shock knocks him off balance, and he falls. For a few seconds, he hangs on by a cable, kicking at the air, and then his grip gives out. He drops straight into the machine, and the blades are still turning at full speed. The next morning, Otis is having breakfast with his family when his father mentions that Hawker was found dead, his body torn apart. Otis gets up and drives out there immediately. When he arrives, the police are still collecting what is left of the body, while Hawker's widow is walked to a patrol car. There are no signs of foul play, so the police rule it an accident. Otis accepts that. His two remaining friends do not. It makes no sense to them that Hawker would be working alone in his barn in the middle of the night. And there is something else. By the time the police arrived, the machine was switched off. If it really was an accident, then somebody had to have turned it off, and there was nobody else in that barn. Otis starts to wonder about it too. He figures maybe the machine simply ran out of fuel and stopped on its own. To settle it, the three of them slip back into the barn that night and check the tank. It is still full. That is the moment it stops feeling like an accident to any of them. The next morning, Otis uses his mail route as an excuse to stop by Bobby's house. He is convinced that Bobby's mother is behind everything. As he gets out of his truck, Melinda comes out of the house. He greets her with a friendly smile, and she just stares at him, cold and silent, before walking away like she already knows exactly what he did. Then he goes to work on the mother. He brings up Hawker's death and watches her face, hoping she will give something away. Otis does not believe in ghosts. As far as he is concerned, she killed Hawker, and with one of his men dead, they are even. In his mind, both sides can let it go and move on. She sees it differently. She warns him to stay away from Melinda because she has noticed the way he looks at that little girl, and it turns her stomach. Otis's expression goes dark. He turns around and leaves without a word. What he still does not understand is that Hawker's death was only the opening act. That afternoon, Philip is finishing up work in his field when he sees the scarecrow again, standing out in the middle of the wheat. He forces himself to walk closer, and up close there is no doubt about it. It is the same one Bobby was hiding in. With Hawker's death fresh in his mind, Philip loses his nerve completely. He drives straight to Otis and tells him what he saw, but when the two of them go back to the field together, the scarecrow is gone. No tracks, no frame, nothing. Philip keeps insisting it was there. Otis tells him he is cracking under stress and imagining things. Philip has had enough. He tells Otis that if they do not do something about this immediately, he is going to the police in the morning and confessing everything, because prison sounds a lot better than whatever is picking them off one by one. Otis has no intention of spending the rest of his life behind bars, and he still believes Bobby's mother is pulling every string. That same night, he lets himself into her house. He comes up behind her and clamps a hand over her mouth so she cannot scream. He only means to frighten her into stopping. He does not go there to kill her. What he does not know is that she has a heart condition. When he finally lets go, she is already dead. Otis panics. Everything has gotten away from him. As he is about to run, he notices the gas stove is still lit. So he blows out the flame and deliberately leaves the gas running, hoping it will look like an accident. The room fills up. A spark from the fireplace does the rest, and the house goes up in a blast that swallows the whole building. The police come out the next day, go through the wreckage, and rule it an accident all over again. As far as Otis is concerned, his problems are finished. He goes back to his mail route with his confidence fully restored. Philip cannot shake the fear, though, and Stephen, who works at the local gas station, is starting to come apart too. Neither of them believes these are ordinary accidents anymore. That night, Philip notices his pigs acting strange, crowding and squealing like something spooked them. While he is looking for whatever set them off, he hears a knocking sound behind him. He picks up a length of wood and moves toward it slowly, only to find a chain swinging against the side of the barn in the wind. He lets out a breath and turns back toward the house. That is when he sees a shadow moving inside. He bolts for his truck, but the engine will not turn over. With nowhere else to go, he runs into the barn and locks the door behind him. He waits until everything outside goes quiet, then tries to leave, and finds the door locked from the outside. At the same moment, the grain machinery starts up on its own. Grain comes pouring into the barn by the ton, filling the space faster than he can climb. He is buried alive under it. When Otis hears that Philip is dead, he goes straight to the gas station to find Stephen. Stephen is already falling apart and has decided to turn himself in, figuring a jail cell is the only place he might survive. Otis talks him out of it. He still refuses to accept that Bobby has anything to do with this. To him, every one of those deaths is a coincidence and nothing more, and he is going to prove it. He takes Stephen out to the cemetery, and the two of them dig up Bobby's grave. When they get the coffin open, Stephen freezes. Bobby's body is gone. Stephen scrambles out of the hole, white as a sheet, saying he is going to the police right then and there. Otis chases him down and puts him on the ground, but there is no talking him out of it anymore. So Otis changes tactics and pretends to agree. He tells Stephen they should put the grave back the way they found it first, and then they can go to the station together. Stephen is too far gone to think clearly, and he believes him. He climbs back down into the grave, gets into the coffin, and pulls the lid closed over himself. That is all Otis needs. He shovels the dirt back in and buries him alive, then walks away. On the drive home, Otis spots Melinda running toward a field, and he goes after her. He finds her hiding inside a bulldozer. She tries to get away, but he catches her and grabs hold of her, demanding that she admit she is behind everything that has been happening. Melinda screams. Right then, the bulldozer behind them starts up by itself, with nobody in the cab. Otis's attention snaps toward it, and Melinda takes the chance and runs. A second later, Otis is looking at something that stops the blood in his veins. The bulldozer is rolling forward, coming straight at him, driving itself. He turns and runs as hard as he can, and a few steps in, he collides with a scarecrow standing directly in his path. The pitchfork it is holding goes straight through him. It is the same pitchfork he used to frame Bobby, and now it is the thing that kills him. In the end, Otis pays for every last piece of what he did. And out in the fields, Bobby's spirit stays on inside that scarecrow, watching over Melinda and keeping her safe. So the moral of the story is, never frame a scarecrow for murder because karma may come back holding the same pitchfork.